It has been so nice to be home and amongst family, and it's been really neat to see this church's growth in the last year. From the last time that we came here, to see the way that you guys relate to your pastor, the way that you coming together as a church. This is wonderful to come back and see. Now, my name is Aaron Smith. I am your missionary in Mexico. My wife, my beautiful bride, had to run and chase down our daughter who's had a very long day, so she'll have to come and introduce herself in a little bit. But before we get started tonight, before I say much and get into what we're here to do, I want to have a little bit of fun, okay? The most unique thing about a missionary going out to a foreign country is always the language barrier, okay? Whenever you go to a foreign country and you don't speak the words, and by the way, I went to Mexico with 3 words, okay? Burrito, taco, and baño. Okay, that works great at a taco stand, but not so good at the Border Patrol, okay? But we found out that everybody in Rosarito, because it's so close to the Mexican-California border, speaks varying degrees of English and Spanish. And so we made up a brand new language, and we call it Spanglish. Okay, that's right in between. So I want to teach you at least 2 Spanglish words tonight, just for fun, so that in case you ever end up in Mexico, you can come down and speak like the locals. Okay. The first word I'll teach you is tissue. Tissue. It's okay if you don't know how to speak Spanish. I'll teach you. I'll teach you. Oh, okay. Yeah, that one's easy. The English word said with a Spanish accent. We're getting it, right? Okay, how about the second one? Let's see if we can do this one. Ready? Wheelchair. Wheelchair. Me and Juan only have uno taco, but it's okay. Wheelchair. Wonderful. You can use these words when you come down to see us in Mexico. It's all good. It's all good. And they, believe me, these guys in Mexico love to laugh, and they make plenty of fun of me for speaking Spanish with an English accent. So what we're here to share with you tonight is all of the things that God has done in this last year, the things that He has done in our life in this last year, and where God is leading us to in the future. Okay? First thing I want to explain to you, though, is that the purpose of every Christian is to bear fruit. That is our purpose as Christians. Jesus says so in John chapter 15:6. He says, 15:12. He says, I did not appoint you, or you did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you that you should bear fruit. And so the fruit of the Spirit is given to us in Galatians, which is love, joy, peace, and long-suffering, all these things, okay? But the number one greatest thing that we can do as a Christian is preach the gospel and share the life-saving message of Jesus with the lost and those who don't know it yet. And so in the last year in Mexico, we've been doing this with a mission mind, with a single-minded focus, which is to preach the gospel to all those who need to hear it. So, when did I say it was your fruit? At the very beginning. I want to begin here because it's very important that you understand that what I'm about to share with you today is also your fruit. And how does it become your fruit? Well, first of all, I want to tell you that if you've ever prayed for us, or if you've ever given to our ministry, then you have effectively allowed us to go out and share this, and you share with us and share alike all of the fruit of the ministry. Jesus taught on this and said that we need to store up our treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroy. Don't live for the riches of this world. And that's what we're doing. Every time you tithe to this church, because in case you didn't know, Pastor Dwayne, his wife Sherry have been mission-minded ever since before they even started this church. They prayed about it and wanted to support our mission. And so if you've given any money, if you have prayed for us, this is all your fruit also. You have a spiritual bank account. So today is a bit of a celebration when I share all this with you. You can rejoice in knowing that you have been having a massive impact on the kingdom. One of the things that we do as missionaries is we do a lot of outreaches. We go out into the community. We take, in Mexico, jalapenos and hot dogs and all kinds of stuff, and we go out about a day ahead of time, and we tell everybody we're going to be in their neighborhood. We get the word out, and they come and see us in the park, and then we play music. We have games for kids, and it's kind of a big fun time. And what we're doing is preparing them to hear the gospel message, because we play worship music, and at the very end we say, we have a message for you, and a very important message, and then we share it. Usually about a 10-minute message, Bible-based, gospel-focused. We preach the life-saving message, and we just cast a huge net out into the community and see if we catch any fish. And it's been a very effective means of getting people to hear the gospel and then get plugged into church to grow. So that's one of the things that we've done. The second thing that we've done is we have been involved with orphanages. Okay, we go to area orphanages. In Mexico, you throw a rock in almost any direction and you hit an orphanage in northern Mexico. And we have, what we do is we go there, we just love on the kids, we play with them, and as materials and needs and food come available, we take it to the kids. And last Christmas, Harbor Calvary Chapel down in Aberdeen adopted Buena Vida Orphanage, which is right near us, and they made shoebox presents for them and sent them down for Christmas. So they sent them down to me. I crossed into San Diego, smuggled them across the border, and nobody cares when you smuggle stuff into Mexico, by the way. I'm just using the word because it's kind of illegal. But we get stuff into Mexico. I say kind of because rules don't really exist there. It's just different. So I got all the presents into Mexico, and we went down there with the kids, and believe me, you've not lived until you've handed out Christmas presents at an orphanage for Christmas time. To see the looks on their faces and the brightness of their countenance is it's just awesome. So that's another thing we've been a part of. Also, one other outreach opportunity that I've had is going out to the Tijuana dump. There is a massive dump outside Tijuana. Tijuana is about 2.5 million people. All the trash goes to one location, and the lowest bottom rung of the society in Mexico lives amongst the trash. Many of them, because there is no welfare system, they go out there and they search through the trash for anything valuable to sell or wire that they burn, and then they do it. So many of them are hooked on drugs, and that's kind of how they end up there. But the great news about the dump is that Jesus is there also. Missionaries go out there, we share the love of Christ, we take care of their physical needs. And because I was a fireman for 15 years before being called down to Mexico to be a missionary, my forte is medical. So I was able to go down there with a bunch of medical supplies that one of my lieutenants from Tumwater Fire Department sent me down there with. And I go out there and I just treat whatever I can to get to the physical needs so I can share the gospel with these people, because the physical body perishes, but the soul remains forever. So that's another thing we get involved with. Then there's what God has done in our lives as missionaries. God called us down to Mexico and gave us the first step in the direction. And when He called us down there, I knew that I was being called down there because He wanted me to plant a church. I knew that was my calling, was to become a pastor. And so I went down there expecting to plant a church in Mexico. I've gone on staff at Calvary Chapel in Rosarito, Mexico, and I work alongside a guy named Pastor Mike Vincent. And he has taken me for 1 year under his wing to train me and equip me for the express purpose of going out to plant a church. So I've been working with him. My wife and I have been leading worship in the church. We've had a home group in our house with roughly 30 people that come every Tuesday night. Sorry, I'm here now, so time doesn't matter. We do the outreach, it's an outreach home group where we reach out to our community and invite all the people who need to come and grow in the Word, and we preach the gospel sometimes, so people have been saved through our home group. And God has really been leading us in the direction. But before I tell you exactly where God is calling us next, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever in your Christian life set off in a direction full knowing and fully understanding that you knew exactly what God was doing, and you went off in that direction only to end up somewhere completely different and be like, wow, God, you just, wow, okay, that happened. That ever happened to you? Raise your hand if that's ever happened to you. All right. Well, that happened to us. 1 year ago, we set out to become missionaries, and we set out to plant a church. I didn't know where we were going to plant a church. I full-on admitted that. I didn't know if we were being called to Germany, Afghanistan, China, Korea. I didn't know. I know what it is. I'm willing to go wherever God calls me. But I couldn't really figure out why He would send me all the way to Mexico and learn Spanish just to send me back to the U.S. or to another country. So it made a whole lot more sense we'd plant a church in Mexico. So that was my focus. Except for the fact that I was open. Because, Christian, whenever we set off into God's plans, we never say, my will be done, God. We say, your will be done, right? We don't want my will be done. My will always fall far short of where God wants me to be. And so as I open myself up to His direction and His guidance, He has shown us where He's taking us next. He wants us to plant a church in Punta Gorda, southwest tip of Florida, the state of Florida. And when I heard it, I was like, are you serious? Going back to the U.S.? I didn't want to go back there. It's like they got churches all over the place there. What do you want us to go back there for, God? You know, it's like, I didn't understand. But here's some interesting statistics about America that I didn't know that I understood now. In the United States of America, we close down 4,000 churches a year compared to only 1,000 new church starts. In the last 10 years, we've had over 5 million people fall into inactivity and quit going to church altogether. And here's the scary thing. In the last 10 years, our population has grown by 24 million people. Which means, mathematically, if all we wanted to do was continue our church rate growth at this point and not decline at all, we would need to plant 38,000 new churches a year for the next 10 years and beyond just to maintain growth. And that's no new people coming. God is not done with the United States of America. Many people look at our election now and some of the rules and the laws that are being passed, and we start to get afraid and we start to look at it and say, Lord, come back right now. This is getting bad. But guess what? Today, in the present, is starting to look a lot like first century Rome. Starting to look a lot like Jesus' day, and it's starting to look a lot more like a mission field that it is. And so, God is calling us to plant a church in Punta Gorda, Florida. Now, I want to take just a moment to encourage you because my time is up now. I want to let you know. God is raising up a generation of people who are brave and courageous to go out and share His word, to get involved, to get, instead of being light takers, to be light givers. Okay? 1 Chronicles 16:9 says, the eyes of the Lord go to and fro throughout the whole earth, looking for those whom He can show Himself strong, whose heart is loyal to Him. Okay? All He's looking for is a heart loyal to Him, not those who are qualified. He will qualify those who want to partner with Him. So, if there's so much more to share with you, we've got a lot more to talk about. If you would like to talk to me more after the service, I'd be happy to share more about Mexico and some pictures and stuff that I have on our computer. If you'd like to financially partner with us, you may do so. We have some slips right by your tithe box with our picture on it. You can choose to do it, and it's a financial intent form, which means you don't give any money tonight. You just say, yes, I'd like to support it this much, because we're going to continue to be missionaries, even in Florida. The same mission, new mission field is kind of the way we're looking at it.